What's rocking, everybody, man? The NBA Finals is officially set. The matchup is officially set. We officially have the San Antonio Spurs versus the New York Knicks, man. This is going to be a great finals. I'm not gonna lie, I did really want the Spurs to beat the OKC Thunder like a lot of the other NBA fans. Just want to see a different champion this year. We already seen the same MVP as last year, so it's just good to see a different winner, because like every year it's been a different championship winner every year for a while now. So it's good to see that keep on going, and that just keep us NBA fans excited. You know what I'm saying? Not seeing the same team win every year. But to get into this matchup prediction, man, I'm not gonna lie, it's been a great road for both of these teams. Both of these teams have been on the tear. If I had to say, I don't want to say either of these teams had like an easier road, but if I had to pick a team to have an easier road, I probably would say that the Knicks had an easier road. But I feel like in their defense, the Knicks have been taking care of business, and they've been beating the teams that they've been beating the teams that they should have been beating, if that makes sense. So in the first round, they beat the Hawks in 6 games. I do think that series maybe went a game too long. The Hawks won 2 games. I didn't think they was going to win that many games. I thought the Hawks maybe could win 1 at most. But they won 2 games. They kind of surprised the whole world on how good they played. The Hawks got a lot of young talent on that team. Knicks took care of business against the Sixers in 4 games, which I ain't lying. My defense, if anybody should have won 2 games, it should have been the Sixers. In my opinion, I feel like they should have swept the Hawks, and the Sixers should have took them to 6 games with the kind of talent the Sixers got. But the Sixers didn't show up, got swept in 4 games, and then they swept the Cavaliers. Now that's what surprised me. I thought that series could have went to 6 or 7, just based on how the Cavs was playing, and based on how much the talent the Cavs got, and the trade that they did for James Harden. You do a trade for James Harden, to get to a championship, and they don't make it there. I do think that series against the Pistons, I think that series kind of, drained the Cavs out. That series went to 7. So, they had a long series against the Pistons. The Knicks had a really quick series against the Sixers. So I think since the Knicks have been taking care of business, they've been able to have a lot more rest than all the other teams in the East. So, yeah, like I said, the Knicks took care of business as far as getting out of the Eastern Conference this year. And all year long, I feel like they was the biggest threat to the Boston Celtics. Especially with Tatum just now coming back this year. I just didn't think that the Boston Celtics could make that same run, with Tatum trying to ramp back up. And I think the Knicks took care of business a lot. And then you look at the Spurs, man. They took care of business, obviously, against the Trailblazers. We all knew the Spurs was going to beat them boys. They beat them in 5 games, which is I think that's pretty good. And then I think it just got harder every round for the Spurs. So I would say that it's been a harder road for the Spurs. Not gonna lie, for the younger Spurs, it's been a harder road. The first round they faced Trailblazers, which was easy. Second round they faced Ant-Man and the T-Wolves. And Ant-Man played pretty well. I'm not gonna lie. At first, I thought Ant-Man could have took Wemby down. I thought Ant was playing pretty well off of an injury. Not gonna lie, I was like, dang, he injured? I can't tell. He's still hooping. Like, Ant-Man was hooping pretty well. They just didn't have what it took to, beat Wemby and the Spurs. The Spurs just too deep, too young, too much defense. Like I said, they beat them in 6 games. Then they moved on to the Thunder. The fact that they beat the Thunder is kind of making me think that they can win it all now, because the Thunder won it last year. But it's like the Spurs still got they got still a lot of growth to do. You know what I'm saying? The Spurs got a lot of growth to do, but I've seen a lot of growth in these playoffs alone. In these playoffs alone, I've seen a lot of growth in the San Antonio Spurs. I've seen a lot of passion from Wembanyama. Brunson's leadership, Brunson's experience, and Brunson's clutch power is going to be really, really big for New York. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's going to be really hard for San Antonio to stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, Brunson is going to be really, really good down the stretch. And I just feel like the Spurs aren't really there yet with the experience. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these players that's playing for the Spurs hasn't really been deep in the playoffs. Not saying that Jalen Brunson has been deep in the playoffs a lot, but he's been in the playoffs with this team a lot more than, these guys has been in the playoffs with this team, with the Spurs. So, like, I just think in that aspect, Brunson got, the advantage. The Spurs, they mainly beat OKC due to their defense and their depth. So I do think their defense can have an effect on Jalen Brunson. We all know that Jalen Brunson is a shorter guard, and they got guards like Stephon Castle that can lock up. You know what I'm saying? Like, they had Stephon Castle on SGA a lot of the time in that last series. And if he can guard SGA, you know what I'm saying? If Stephon Castle can lock down SGA a little bit, it might be hell. It might be hell for Jalen Brunson. So Jalen Brunson kind of got to you know, kind of he got to get ready for that matchup against Stephon Castle. He is a young guard, but he has great defense. A really tough player. Depth. They had 7 guys that scored double digits against the OKC in Game 7 to OKC's just 5. So even if you bring J-Dub back in the mix, that's still 6 against 7. The fact that they got 7 guys that can score double digits is scary. That just showed their depth right there. They got 7 guys, probably about 8 guys that could just score 20 on any given night, along with their defense, like I said so many times already. I think the biggest concern for the New York Knicks is the scoring outside of Jalen Brunson. Because just like I said before, let's say Stephon Castle have a great defensive night on Jalen Brunson. Who can really step up outside of Jalen Brunson? That's the biggest question. I'm not saying that Karl-Anthony Towns can't. He's been playing great this playoffs. But as far as like coming up clutch, coming up and scoring 30, 35 to, you know, get over that hump against Wemby, like, I don't know if anybody else can do that but Brunson on this team. I know Karl-Anthony Towns has been playing pretty good this playoffs all around, but as far as scoring, like Jalen Brunson can score, I don't think anybody on this team can do it like Brunson. And that, I feel like that alone could hurt. You know, that could hurt. You know what I'm saying? I feel like if the real guys don't show up, it could really be bad. But the biggest concern for San Antonio would be down the stretch. Like I said a little bit earlier too. I think down the stretch, can they close out the Knicks? Can the Spurs close out the Knicks and close games in this finals? That's going to be probably the biggest question for me, because like I said, Jalen Brunson is very good down the stretch. He has experience with his team, with this team, and he's been in the playoffs a couple times with this team already. So I just think that's scary for the Spurs. Can they come up clutch against the Knicks? Don't know. They got a lot of young guys. We can't guarantee that Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper will just show up in the finals. This is Dylan Harper's first year, Stephon Castle's second year, and they're in the NBA finals. We can't expect them guys to go out there and average 20 and 10. Like, it's going to be some growing pains in this finals for both those guards. So like, we got to expect that, and yeah, it's going to be rough for that aspect of the Spurs. As far as the depth, I did talk about depth. I did say that the Spurs have, you know, 7 guys that could score double digits. Not gonna lie, I didn't think about New York. New York they got about 7 guys that can do that too. That's why I think that before I make this video, I was really trying to think super hard on who do I got winning this finals. It's so hard. I don't know. I really don't know who I got winning. I do see this series definitely going to 7 games. I think the X factor. Let me pick an X factor for both teams real quick, y'all. Before I stop yapping. X factor for the New York Knicks will be Landry Shamet. Landry Shamet he's shot so well in that Cleveland series. He really been shooting well all playoffs for the Knicks. I think if he can continue that hot shooting, this team will stay, you know, very dangerous. Because if you got a guy shooting that hot like Shamet, and then you got guys that can come down the stretch like Brunson, you got great rebounders like Cat. He's been rebounding the ball real well this playoff. So, I just feel like they got every tool in the book that they need in New York. That's what I believe. As far as the bench, they got guys like Clarkson that can come off and heat up, hit a couple shots to get the offense going. Like, I really like how this team is like structured right now. I feel like this team is kind of structured to win the finals. This team is really structured to have everything. And X factor for the Spurs, that's kind of hard because, like I said, they got so much talent. I think X factor for the Spurs could be somebody like Champagnie, somebody that could just knock down a couple threes and get them on a run, or maybe even a guy like Vassell. I think Vassell is very talented. He can play defense, and he's another guy that can get hot in a hurry and get them on a run. So those would be the X factors to me. But overall, my prediction, I got the Knicks winning this finals in 7. F it. I'm saying it, bro. I'm saying it. At first I said, you know what, if Wemby gets to the finals, he's winning it. But like I said, I can't guarantee that the young guards is going to show up for San Antonio. We never seen De'Aaron Fox get this deep in the playoffs. This is Wemby's first playoffs. So, like, with all that being said, I just feel like there's more green flags for the Knicks. I got the Knicks in 7, y'all. Y'all let me know down below in the comments who y'all got winning this finals, how many games. Hit the like button if y'all enjoyed today's video. Leave me a comment. I'll see y'all in the next video. You dig?